Hi there. My name is Ron Rogers, and this presentation is my thoughts on designated engineering representatives and quality control inspectors. Now, there's been recent developments where people are wondering about the quality of products and the inspections that are being done, or sometimes you get around it by not doing the inspections. Well, I've kind of seen this on both sides. I worked for Cessna in flight test. I worked for Boeing in flight test. I've got some QC kind of comments dealing with flight safety that are just slightly unusual. And as my um, work for the Airline Pilots Association as Director of Aircraft Development and Evaluation Programs. During that tenure, I was asked by the FAA to chair a committee that was involved with certification of fly-by-wire flight control systems. I was involved with establishing the environment to which these systems had to be certified to. So we had to determine, where could these airplanes fly, what kind of emitters could they come in close contact with, and things like that, and determine what the field was. And mine was an international committee. I had engineers from all over the world, and I had representatives of the governing agencies like the FAA on my committee. And when I kind of started out working for industry in that, I kind of thought that, well, you know, the best pay is working for a company like Boeing. That's the top pay. And if you work for the government, the pay isn't as good. So it kind of goes downhill from there. So where do the best people go to work? Well, the best people obviously would go to work at the manufacturers because that's the best pay. Well, my work on it was the Society of Aerospace Engineers, AE4R radiated committee. I worked with government agency individuals from all over the world. And let me tell you, I changed my opinion not only of the local FAA people, but of all the other government agencies. These people were sharp. They were dedicated. And yeah, they weren't making the pay that you made in industry, but these guys were no dummies. So that changed my opinion. Now, when I worked for Cessna, my boss was a DER. I was never a DER, so these are just observational type of things. But my boss was a DER. So that's, he works for the company. The FAA gives him the blessing and says, okay, you're going to do the work, but then you're going to sign off that the work is good. And the DERs that I came in contact with had a lot of integrity. They would not be pressured by management. Management would tend to pressure you sometimes because they had schedules to meet and things like that. So yeah, there could be pressure, but I think most of them realized that when they pushed and got pushed back, that they were out of line. Now, when Cessna, back in the early 80s, developed the Citation 3, this was a little step for them. I mean, the Citation 1 and 2 were a big step up, but the Citation 1 and 2 were basically a straight wing aircraft that was designed to be flown by pilots coming off a prop aircraft. It was a step up in speed, but the systems were simple and the flight characteristics were simple, and it was a fairly easy transition as long as you were a reasonably good prop pilot flying, aircraft that required a degree of competency to fly. However, the Citation 3 was a step up for Cessna. And I had a flight test manager who got himself into trouble because he was telling upper management, "Yeah, everything's going fine. We're going along. We're meeting schedules," and it wasn't. And well, the problem occurs that when you don't tell the truth to upper management, eventually they're going to find out. And when they did, it was not good. Now, let me tell you a little thing about QC inspectors. As a QC inspector, you have a broad range of duties and you have to understand what you're looking at. And if you're dealing with a situation where you've got a technician who you're wanting to make sure complies correctly with the procedure, then that's your job and that's what you do. Well, we had the strategic radar antenna, and this is the I had a presentation about how I made a improvement that more than doubled its accuracy. Well, we're in the process of getting this thing up and running to be put on the B-52 bomber. Well, it's still really in engineering development, and I'm making little improvements along the way, but they wanted me to write the procedure on how you set this up, because we're going to send this out to the depot, and they're going to have technicians there who install the feed horn choke and do the various alignment and adjustment procedures to make this work. Well, I've got a QC guy following me around. Now, he's making sure that I did the procedure that I wrote. Okay? Well, like I said, this is still in engineering development, and I don't have a good picture of the phase shifter, but the blue arrow points to kind of where it is. And part of the adjustment and alignment is aligning this phase shifter. And along the process, I had realized that I had not optimized the alignment of this, so I changed the procedure. Well, okay, so I submit this change, and it was funny. Boeing had this improvement program, and because my change was going to save $15,000 over the life of the program, I got invited to this dinner, and I got a pen and pencil set and a hat that said strategic radar and a free dinner. Okay, wonderful. But I submitted the paperwork to change the procedure. Okay, it has to go through channels, and basically I have to sign off that I wrote it correctly. It's kind of a very tight closed loop here because I'm the only one who is involved in this whole process. So, okay, well, it hasn't gotten to the point where I sign off my new procedure, so I'm still working under the old procedure. And right in front of the QC guy who puts his little dab of putty there and stamps it and stuff, I do the procedure the way I've advanced it, because like I said, this isn't a certified item going on an aircraft and things like that. We're still in flight test. So right in front of his nose, I can do it the correct way, and he doesn't really even realize I'm not doing it the way the procedure is written, which is, it's kind of funny, but it's an unusual situation. This was experimental antenna range there, and I think he just simply trusted me to do it right, and that's what I did. Now, when I worked for Cessna Flight Test, I also part-time instructed at Flight Safety International. It was kind of funny because if they had any question about the airplane I was instructing it in, I either knew the answer in great technical detail or I could get it. And they kind of enjoyed that because I would come back with certain schematics and delve very deeply into a question they had. But I had been an Air Force instructor, and of course, Air Force students are very high quality. They're very highly selected. Military people are, because it's very expensive to train them. They're going into state-of-the-art aircraft, and so you want them to be good. Well, your average pilot who is flying, and this is nothing against, there's plenty of great pilots, but you get an average of pilots who fly the piston twins, and that was what I was instructing in at the time, and that was at the time when flight safety actually instructed in piston twins. They don't even touch those anymore, but I was instructing in piston twins, and every once in a while I would have a guy that I just couldn't sign off. And of course that could mean his job, and it was bad for flight safety if he didn't sign him off. So I handed him up to one of the managers, and I'm not necessarily sure what exactly happened, but funny thing was these guys got signed off. But I basically said, hey, and of course, it wasn't like I was doing this as a full-time job. If I didn't like what I was doing, I would say, hey, sayonara. If you guys want me to sign off somebody I don't think is ready to be signed off, that's too bad. So anyway, didn't happen much. Happened every once in a while, but that was a little fault in the QC process, at least as I saw it. Anyway, those are my thoughts on DERs and QC in general. Thanks for watching. I hope you found it interesting.